Okay, Joseph Millson here with the sixth and final for now little 10-minute masterclass about screen acting. And what I'm going to do is recap briefly and then send you on your way with another thought. So let's just go over all the stuff we've done just to get this in our heads. We talked about lots of the basics on set, hitting of marks. I'm going to be looking at my notes now and then because we've covered a lot. Hitting your mark, and those camera rehearsals are for the cameras and for lighting, and don't get thrown by that. Your acting stuff you can stay relaxed about, okay? We talked about the hurry up and wait element of filming, and that you're going to have to hang around a lot, and you've got to somehow still stay interested, so that in those go moments where they say suddenly it's on you, now, you're ready. You've kept the story going, even if you're chatting and doing other things. You're ready to go, and you're involved. Conserving energy is a good thing. Drink water. We talked about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. That there are a lot of strangers you've never met before, and you've suddenly got to do an emotional scene or something in front of these total strangers. You've got to not worry about looking silly. We talked about how cool is the enemy and fool is your friend. Do not worry about looking foolish, but don't try to look cool is a good tip for being a brave, interesting actor. Make strong choices, be it for an audition or for the little job you've got. Make a really strong choice and go for it, and you'll strangely, either they'll love it straight away, probably 8 times out of 10, and the couple of times that people don't and it's not quite right, weirdly, you'll find it easier to jump to another version of the scene if you've made a strong choice in the first place. And then self-consciousness, worrying about yourself. What am I doing? Am I good? Am I rubbish? Does my voice sound silly? All of the training of actors is geared towards, and all your homework about acting should be about not being self-conscious and relaxing and playing. We'll get to that. So we talked about the shots. Most things start with a wide, with a master shot, and then sometimes a 2-shot, and then the singles, over the shoulder, and sometimes a close-up. And that a close-up is the only one to really maybe worry about not being too big and not moving your eyebrows around too much and stuff. But if you've normally the close-up would be the last one shot, so you'll be really inside the scene by that point, and then more than ever concentrate on the other person that you're playing the scene with. If it's a close-up, that's when you really, even though the camera sometimes is close, just send that performance all the way over to the other person, because you won't worry so much then. And also when it's there, you can feel that it'd be too much to, move your head. So we talked about all that. Continuity, very big thing about it's your job to remember what you've done with the props and with food and drink, but don't let it crush your creativity. There is someone there you can ask if you've forgotten, and it's okay to forget, and it's definitely okay to ask for help. Always. You look like a bigger person doing that than just blundering on and making mistakes if you're not sure. But don't worry about too much continuity in your performance. Surprise yourself, surprise the editor a bit, okay? And you'll get to that by doing some of the other things we've talked about, playing. We talked about the learning of the lines. Can feel like homework. For the first 10 times you read a scene through at home trying to learn it. But there's something exciting, isn't there, when you get to that bit where you're like, oh, I think I know this. Just trust that. There's a feeling a bit like being a magician. When you've learnt a few pages and you don't need the bit of paper and that stuff is in your noggin, it's kind of magical. You're carrying this scene around with you in your head. It's a magic trick. So, and the better you know it. So when you get to the point where you think you know it, you're like, I've got this. Do it another 10 times. I dare you. 10 more times than you think you need to test it, and then you know it. And we talked about how definitely say them out loud. Find somewhere to say them out loud, and possibly a little louder than usual, just so that you don't have a surprise moment on set where your own voice sounds weird, or you get self-conscious about your voice. As we've said, we don't want that. Then that moved us on to how learning your lines is important, and speaking is important, but it's nowhere near as important as listening. 2 ears, 1 mouth, twice as much listening as talking, as my dad used to say. That's really true. Stage or screen, but definitely on screen. And that brought us on to a helpful way of doing that is playing these actions and objectives, and that gives you more screen presence, and that there's nothing mystical or complicated about objectives. You don't need to do years and years at drama school to understand what an objective is. It is playing an action, and those transitive verbs, I something you, I poke you, I tickle you, I seduce you, I encourage you, I push you, I punish you. There are thousands of them. I keep saying the same ones. They are helpful because once you work out what your character wants and write it down, might be a big sentence. I want to make sure they understand I am not an idiot. You break it down into one little objective that you can scribble on your script, and this is something you can say in the wings of a theatre before you go on stage, or you can say when you're standing on your mark and they're calling turnover, speed, action. You can think one word: punish, enable, whatever it is. So they're helpful. And again, that's about sending your performance in that direction towards the other actor, and often or not towards the camera. Then we talked about the importance of play. To please privately, no one else needs to know about this, but get in touch with that bit of you that's like a child still and is happy to play make-believe. And that's your business. It's nobody else's. Nobody else knows. Okay? But between the words action and cut, and if you're Daniel Day-Lewis, 10 hours either side of those words, you can play make-believe. How brilliant is that? Honestly. And we talked about auditions and how not to worry about getting the job, just enjoy doing your work for the little time that you're doing it. In the room, if you're in the room with them, let that be the performance. It's not about the job. And then, weirdly, you will get the job a few more times than you used to when you used to worry about it, because there is no deodorant for desperation. And that's going to bring me on to my last point, which is if you want to do more acting and more film acting, do more acting. That sounds a bit simplistic. What I mean is, there are short films by the gazillion going on. Everyone can make a blooming film on their phone. Write a script with your friends. Film it. Clock up mileage. Like airline pilots, to get their wings so that they're allowed to fly planes, they have to clock up so many tens of thousands of miles of flying in training. And once you've flown 40,000 miles, okay, you are now a pilot. I think it's a good analogy for screen acting. Clock up as many minutes in front of a camera trying to play someone else as you possibly can, anywhere, anything, any friend's idea for a film, any student film, any low budget thing. Just clock up the mileage, because the more experience you have with the weirdness, the more comfortable you will be being uncomfortable, and the more fun you'll have. So all I can say to you to close off is fun is a key word. It should be and is a lot of fun. And if you are ever on a job and other people around you don't seem to be having fun, which happens a lot, especially in England, we like to moan. Don't catch that disease, okay? Don't join in. Try not to moan. Be grateful, because it's a really lovely thing to do, a lovely thing to watch, and you're very lucky if you get to do any of it. But you can. It's there. It's a real industry. It exists. So have fun. I hope this has been helpful, and good luck out there. See you on set one day. Bye-bye.